Out.
Sounds good. Sounds good. $25. Apparently, there were other King Kong wrongs when they first started on Twitch. Yep. Yeah.
All right. So we were gonna. It seemed like we were gonna have a few extra people with us tonight, but things kind of came up. We're not playing D&D, which would normally have been played tonight due to the holiday week. Robman and Leah are both were traveling for the holiday, and then AZ got sick. So what we planned for tonight was we were gonna kind of do like a podcast talk about good for gaming, charity streaming, and kind of how everything kind of works together, and how what we've learned over the years and have made things better for not only ourselves but the community and gaming in general. We do have so I'm Cubby Blue for Life. I am your normal DM for D&D. To my that way, see I'm looking see how I'm set up is my camera's in front of me, but I have the screen of everything over here, so it's like woo. That's Fantasy Geek. She is here usually on her Tuesday night D&D games. Below me is King Kong Rong, who will kind of introduce himself and kind of explain what he does and why he is kind of here, and kind of we'll kind of get into that as well. And then to my diagonal on the bottom is RoboPig. RoboPig is the founder of who you probably see on Friday nights on the channel. He is the founder of Good for Gaming. So yeah. He's the reason we are all here. So I'm gonna leave it over to KKR. I'll just kind of introduce yourself. Let it kind of just explain kind of like who you are, what you do. Kind of like what I mentioned before we went live.
Yeah, well, I'm King Kong Wrong, but most people call me KKR. When I'm not streaming, I work at a large nonprofit, Doctors Without Borders, but lately I've been putting a lot of focus into my own consulting firm, Make Gaming About Fundraising, where I work with nonprofits to help them better engage the video game community to raise funds.
And then RoboPig. I guess we're gonna price. I think we're gonna start more with you because you're the reason we're here.
I'm just here for the free T-shirt. I was told there'd be a free T-shirt.
I guess I'm having to buy a T-shirt on my cruise this week, and I'll send it your way. I guess what was the thought behind starting Good for Gaming and just the aspect of it, the beginning?
So originally, it was just a Twitter account. As an older gamer, I was unhappy with the media representation. Like anytime you saw gaming mentioned on the news or in a paper, it was because someone had shut up a school or because, stuff like that. It was always seen as some negative connotation. Oh, people who game are, cellar dwellers and live in their parents' basement and that whole thing. So I just wanted to start an account to try to promote what folks were posting about the positive aspects of gaming. And even back then, 8, 10 years ago, there were folks in like the mental health space trying to point out the benefits that it has for folks with mental health issues, developmental issues, giving, say, folks with disabilities an outlet for creativity or something they could actually enjoy with limited mobility, stuff like that. So the Twitter account was mainly about that. And then as we gained followers, I don't remember at what point we started the Discord, but then, so the community started to grow, and then we focused a lot on obviously positivity and charity. And so the people we attracted were all people who did Extra Life. Extra Life was kind of the first thing we got involved with charity wise, and then we expanded from there. But the whole Good for Gaming thing is basically the community's fault. I had no plans to make it more than just what it was, but everybody wanted to get more involved and wanted us to have some structure, and so we kind of built out from there, and then figured we should have a channel and a stream team and start doing the events. So everything just kind of grew organically from there, I guess I would say.
We've been doing what, events at least for I'd say at least 6 years. So,
yeah, it's hard to keep track at this point when we actually what started when, but we definitely started at first with the Extra Life team. We were the Good for Gaming team for a couple of years, and then we took on Mason's name with the permission of his dad, Jay. And then I think we kind of found a lot of our community through the efforts just with Extra Life. And then everybody obviously has interest in trying to support other charities that have nothing to do with Extra Life. So we started to look at running events for other charities.
And that's really, I think, more kind of what, other than Extra Life, because I think I came over to Good for Gaming kind of at the downfall of non-toxic gaming, kind of like when there was a lot of changes going on over there, and I think I followed. It was Big Nico, I think, actually was the person who told me about Good for Gaming, and kind of brought me over that way, and it's like I've been stuck ever since. Oh, I can't say I've been stuck. I've been hooked.
Oh no, you can. You just did.
I've been hooked ever since. Because I don't think I wouldn't do half of the stuff that I do today if it wasn't for really meeting like anybody from this community. Like even in my personal life, like I wouldn't be probably doing the job I do today if it wasn't for this being a part of this community. So I mean, it definitely has become a part of a lot of people's, I don't want to say well-being, but like just who they are, because of the community that you grew here at Good for Gaming, and just giving them the kind of the platform to network with each other and the people that we were allowed to meet. Kind of like going back to like kind of the Extra Life, and I know you probably could pull this up rather quickly, but do you know how much money Good for Gaming has risen since you started the team?
No.
Darn.
I can try to look.
I wasn't sure if that was something that was maybe in on your dashboard or not, because I think Jay's running it this year.
I thought it would be good to have him be the captain since it's in his son's name. So, and that kind of freed me up to focus more on some of our other events.
In which, for those who are around, we did just complete our Gamers Outreach event this past weekend. It ran Friday or Thursday to Sunday. We are currently at $636. With that $1,000 goal, which we are going to be continuing to raise towards Gamers Outreach until the end of 2023.
Yeah, I think team-wise, it won't give me a total unless I go through and actually add them up.
Add everything up, which is still a lot of work.
Yeah, because it looks like we've had a team since 2014.
Okay, so even 3 years before I started raising money for Extra Life, and I started off on my local team, and then
yeah, so it's probably I must have started the team the second year because I think this might have been my 10th year for Extra Life.
Okay,
and that sounds like probably 9 years from 2014 to now. So
okay. But with Good for Gaming, I know we've raised money for a lot of different organizations. Able Gamers, Guardians Mental Health, Gamers Outreach. We've done Trevor Project, just to name a few. Out of the organizations that we've raised money for, who do you feel? I don't want to say who do you feel like you like the best, because we like everybody who we raise money for, but does it seems like we get better response from like different organizations that within while we do our events. And I know Guardians is one of the big ones where they actually stream during the event.
Yeah, Guardians was definitely the most recent that we had the best experience with, as far as them representing on the channel, stopping by a lot of the shifts, getting involved at the start of our event, so that we could speak intelligently about what it is that they do. Because yeah, a lot of us aren't. While we have a stream team, we're certainly not professionals in any aspect. So we all have our challenges when we try to do a shift for an event. So we find it's great if we can have a rep from the charity join us for the first shift, just to go over like what that money, let people know what they're donating to, what that money's actually going to do, because for a lot of charities it changes from year to year what they might be focusing on or what they're trying to accomplish. I would say Stack Up was really good because I know Steve has created a team of I don't remember what he calls the positions, but they have several folks who just work with streamers to make sure they have an event planned and to give support for whatever they need, media or assets, interviews, or like I said, getting on. So Stack Up has always been good. We certainly enjoy Extra Life just from the community aspect. I think anybody I watch or follow on Twitch more than likely was because they did Extra Life at one point in time or another. And we feel like if somebody's doing that, it's a good indication that we're probably going to get along and like what they have to say for the most part. So
that's kind of how most of the people I follow are the same way. They're either from the Good for Gaming community or met through Extra Life. I kind of want to move over to KKR for a minute. So you've been around. I mean, you've been around Good for Gaming for a while. You were part of our stream team for a little bit. Our Extra Life team. And I know you've backed off a lot from streaming due to work and what you do and family life. I mean, I know you have two young kids at home too. But I am kind of more interested in this MGA fundraising that you started and kind of the aspect of fundraising and gaming and and kind of like what that entails.
Yeah, when I first started streaming like 4.5 years ago, I did it because I wanted to do charity streaming. And Extra Life was the first, I guess, charity that I started to raise money for. And of course, that's where I met all you all. In fact, I remember RoboPig coming into my chat one day and telling me more about Good for Gaming. And, that was an easy sell. I came in, I learned a lot from you all. But I think what I learned the most is what you talked about, is like how, what are the experiences you get from different organizations, and what makes that the reason why you would fundraise for them again and again and again. Because one thing I've noticed is that with charities, 4.5 years ago, people didn't know how to recruit streamers, right? They didn't know how to ask them. They didn't know where to go. They didn't know what Discord was. But now they're starting to learn. And the biggest challenge is now, how do you retain people to keep streaming for you? In the same way that Extra Life has been able to craft such a huge community. And this community is growing, and there are people who are doing it for years on end. As you all have spoken, you've done it for several years just in Extra Life. So what's the secret behind that? And that's what I'm trying to teach nonprofits is, you can't just like bring people in. You have to give them a reason to continue to raise money for you. Whether it can't just be swag. It's you got to go into their chat. You got to talk to them on social media. You have to engage. You can't ask them to do the same if you're not willing to do equal. So with my company, it's all about educating nonprofits and how to do that so that they can get more fundraisers. Content creators specifically. I wanted to say just Twitch, but as we know, there's so many more streaming platforms out there. So, yeah, that's been my driving motivation, is just seeing how charity streaming has grown and continue to help it grow. Because I think people talk about how saturated the market is for streamers and charities, but in truth, you're only scratching the surface.
Yeah.
I think there was a study showing that about $120 million was raised in streaming over the past 5 or 6 years. That's a lot of money, but it's not that much. Like I work at an organization that raises like $600 million a year. So think about all the other orgs just in this country, and how many streamers are available. There's still so much that can be done. They just don't know how.
Yeah. And I know you might not be able to answer this, and that's perfectly okay due to the aspect of the possible question. But what organizations have you been able to help, kind of like maybe start that journey? And you don't have to like use the actual name if you don't want to, but like the types of organizations that you've been able to help kind of maybe start that journey into content creating and raising money via what you're helping them with.
Yeah. So I have one of my current clients actually is the Easter Seals. So they're an organization that works with people with disabilities. They've actually started their gaming journey on Twitch before they met me. But they kind of were like, okay, how can we get it to the next level? So they have a community called ES Gaming, and its purpose is to be very inclusive and really highlight gamers with disabilities in particular. So when they brought me on, the challenge was, okay, we've got a stream team, but how do we expand our reach? How do we talk to people so that they can, work with us and raise money? And so it's kind of like they're not at the beginning, but they're kind of just starting at the same time, you know what I mean? So I'm helping them in that part of it and just teaching them what's to us veteran charity streamers, simple things is still new to them, like incentives. What are some fun incentives, right?
Yeah.
Like, I used to joke that 80% of my donations came from Bean Boozled. And they're like, what is that? And I'm like, I'll show you, but you gotta donate because.
Or like my the D20 hot sauce challenge that I would do. Like it's.
Oh yeah, like your hot dog ones as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, get this. I blow their minds with just what people are willing to do to raise funds. And I think for them, it was exciting to learn because you're really limited by your own creativity in this space, right? It's really up to the content creator, but also what the organization is willing to play ball with. I think I've been lucky because the Easter Seals have been very open to a lot of ideas, like esports, for example. Like they really want to hone in on peer to peer, like what we were doing with Extra Life, like that kind of fundraising. But they also wanted to work in the esports space, so they're working with an organization from Boston, Oxygen Esports, to help them with some charity tournaments over the next few months. That's been an exciting thing, but I also help with that because I'm a member of the Esports Trade Association. Like I'm the co-chair of their fundraising committee, so I kind of leverage that too. Is I take the 5+ years of Twitch, but then I'm also now in the esports world in that sense. So kind of bringing them all together as a way to kind of open the doors for the Easter Seals into the video game community. It's like, look at all you could do, you know. But it's also, I have to be careful. I don't want to flood them with all this information and they're just overwhelmed. I kind of just try to introduce ideas in a way that they're like, okay, this is something that we can do. It's realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an example of an organization that I'm working with who's just kind of getting going into video games and Twitch, and just it's been a fascinating journey for me too, because again, teaching them things that for us on Twitch for a while kind of already understand, but for them it's still very new. It's like, I'm gonna use a parenting example. Like it's when I teach my kids like how to play like Mario. And they're like learning like, oh, I didn't know I could jump on a Goomba or like throw a shell. It's like all like fascinating, and I'm kind of in that zone right now. It's like I get a lot of gratification from, you know, knowing that what I'm teaching them is worthwhile.
Yeah. So if there is like, let's say there's like an organization out there that is looking for somebody to help, like how do they come, like how do they find, like how would they find you? This is something that like it's a lot of the networking's done at actual, give me 1 second, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My cat's chewing on paper behind me, and it's loud enough that I can hear it in my headphones.
Well, I didn't come through to me, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. But like, so like I'd say like there's like somebody's out there that's wanting to get into this aspect of gaming, of Twitch or content creation, and wanting to start this like the gaming fundraising. How would they find you? Like, do you go to like, are you going to like conventions for this? Is it pure networking through like through LinkedIn, or how does that work?
It started with going to conventions and conferences. Yeah, like both the clients that first started with me, I met them through a conference in Maryland. Actually, ironically, it's the same conference I went to 4 years ago when I first started talking about charity streaming, and I mentioned Good for Gaming back then as well. So yeah, it starts with, that's the first step, and then once I got going on the speaking circuit, then people would reach out to me on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. I think I kind of have an organization that I know they're still kind of new to the online stuff. Most of their stuff is it's Give Kids the World, the kind of the organization that I've kind of gone from Extra Life to now.
Yeah,
they're a local one here in Orlando. Most of their fundraising is done like kind of in-person type of stuff through their website. But they literally this past January, I think they hired or actually March, or February, because I went back to the beginning of the chat with him, where they hired him in to help in their gaming division, and I've been in continued contact with him and back and forth, and it seems like they're still having some issues getting it off the ground, because I mean they are set up on like Tiltify and whatnot, but it's just they're not getting that retainer of people, I guess. Um,
Yeah, if there's no if there's no clear strategy, it's very hard to get traction.
yeah.
Yeah, but there's also, it also depends who you bring on. I met someone who was like a professional tournament player, and he was hired by a nonprofit out in New York State, but he had very little fundraising experience. So they brought him on just because he was a pro gamer, but he didn't know really how to raise funds. So they're struggling, and I asked them, what's your fundraising plan and strategy? And they couldn't give me a straight answer, because I think they understand. Okay, this is how we set up a Tiltify page. This is how we set up our Twitch page. And I'm like, okay, great, but where's your list? Where's your email? Your social media strategy. Like, how are you planning your, just for me, like basic fundraising stuff? And it's, I think they just went into too much in the gamer direction and not so much on the basic fundraising direction.
It seems like they were more focused because seeing on how popular gaming is and trying to just get people to go off of that. It's kind
It's
from
kind
what
of
you're
like,
saying.
yeah, kind of like, oh, we got a big name and people will just donate because of them. But that's for whoever knew who that person was. But if their audience has never even heard of them, then they're kind of, out of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I kind of want this kind of question kind of wants to intertwine, like, kind of good for gaming with what you're doing with your company. Is there? I mean, for, like, let's say, like, gaming communities like ourselves, like, is there any way of taking what you're teaching to those? Well, it's kind. I guess that wouldn't work because a lot of the stuff that you've learned has also come from what we're doing already, and you're just kind of like improving that and helping them get that started. So I was gonna say, is there any way of, like, taking what you've done to help, like, other, like, online communities like us? But then I'm like, it's almost like answering my own question.
No, I think it's a valid question. And I think you started to talk about it earlier when you were comparing your experience with other orgs. Some are more engaged than others. So a lot of my experience, yeah, you're right, comes from doing what I've learned here. And I think it's just a matter of, it's not so much improving. It's like more like, how do I translate that in a way that people who've never heard of streaming or Twitch, how do I translate that into something that they can understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because honest, like, being a part of the stream team for as long as I have, I've been, like, working with Dave, even when I wasn't up, like, on, like, a stream team lead or a part of the stream team. You definitely notice people support different charities more than others, and we kind of noticed that. I think that with this one a little bit, where we've never really done. I don't think we've ever done gamers outreach before. So I think having I guess a more of a slightly unknown organization that we've risen money for it, with even for our community and the people who do come to the channel and donate, it wasn't as, maybe it's because it's getting into the holiday season, or maybe it was a timing thing for this one, but I don't know where I was getting at with that.
Well,
Do you feel like, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think there's for the folks that help us out with events, the more you work on a given charity, the more comfortable you are talking about it, and there's a direct correlation between how well you can speak to what the charity does to how much money you're going to raise. So with Gamers Outreach, we may have had some shifts where people weren't too familiar and weren't comfortable. Whereas where we do Able Gamers every year, all of us are really comfortable explaining what Able Gamers is and why it's important. So I think knowledge is very important and relates to what we can hope to see from an event, from a charity event, what type of donations we'll see.
Anybody from Gamers Outreach show up to the chat or come in for a voice chat?
I can't say I wasn't in all the shifts, so I'm not sure if they did. They didn't while I was streaming, but that was just a couple of the shifts. So.
I know they were retweeting and like and whatnot a lot of the tweets that were going out. So
right,
I
they
mean,
were interacting on social
more
media.
on social media than actually here on Twitch.
And the social media aspect is one aspect. There's been some we've supported that don't even retweet, that stuff, and that's like,
and
if you're not going to do that,
why
you're probably
should
just missing out on a lot of opportunity. To get your word out there to more people.
Yep, that's the thing I talk about the most. Is it's a partnership, right? The organization and the community. So if you're not even going to help out with a retweet, it doesn't cost anything,
Just hit the button.
And especially,
just hit a button.
And especially if most social media managers have access to like their account on their phones, like working with United Way, which again, like I said, I wouldn't be in this position with United Way if it wasn't for knowing Jester from being a part of the Good for Gaming community. Like, because he's the one that suggested to look at when I was starting to look for a job earlier this year, I wouldn't be here or be at that position. But our social media manager has she's connected to our socials everywhere she goes. So like if she's at an event, she can literally post a picture from where she's sitting there or respond to a tweet so the interaction, like you're saying, the interaction that they give us shows kind of it's an organization that we wanted to support because we felt like they were worth supporting, but it makes us double think that support next time because of that. And it's one of those things where it's like, why are you doing what you're doing if you're only expecting people to give you money and not like give them a small voice to help?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you asked them for swag or any of that. Just retweet. Like, it's the easiest thing.
Just press the button. It's free.
Yeah. That's the other thing, budget. Like, a lot of new orgs, they're worried like how much they have to spend to get a return on investment. And I always tell them, like, look, most of this is very low cost. Most of the equipment is held by us, the streamers. All they have to do is spend time to learn.
Yeah.
KKR, have you seen any other orgs beyond Extra Life that you show as examples to the clients you're working with about that are doing some things right about retaining streamers?
Yeah, St. Jude. They have a slightly different approach. Because with Extra Life, though, their focus has been more like grassroots kind of fundraising. It doesn't really matter how big you are. What matters is there's a lot. The Extra Life community is huge. St. Jude's strategy is a little different. They do spend a lot of money to focus on bringing in big name streamers for their cause. Well, also, they have a lot of smaller streamers too. But I think what they do really well, they've got their streamer toolkit. It's solid, and that's something like the basics you need. They've got really good sponsors. So there's a lot of folks who will stream just to get a sweater, a cup. I know it seems kind of selfish, but there's a lot of people who will just stream for the swag, which is fine. The money goes to a good cause. And I think another good organization that I've seen that does the charity streaming really well, Starlight Foundation, the Starlight Children's Foundation. They're relatively new, but their social media game is very strong. they post a lot on LinkedIn as well as on Twitter, and I think what helps with them is they show the impact because they do similar thing with their carts, kind of like what Gamers Outreach does. And I've been to a hospital where I've seen one of their Starlight carts, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I've seen the kids play with it, and it's very easy to use as an example for other donors. It's like, see, we actually have this thing. It's kind of hard, I think, for some organizations who work like in services that you don't really have a lot of tangible results in. Like a lot of mental health organizations, what they would do instead is they have like client testimonials, like people who've had hard times and talk about what that organization has done for them. That's a great one too. You mentioned Guardians, but that's not a great example of engaged organizations who really make an effort to work with the streamers. What's another great? I mean, there's so many that I ran into at TwitchCon, but I think one of the ones that I think has started to get the right idea. Oh no, wait, Wounded Warrior Project is also another good one. They work on Veterans Affairs as well. I think they started. I met the team from Wounded Warrior a few years ago, and I think they took a really good approach to building their program. They involved their community in the building of their program. It wasn't like a fundraising director said, okay, I want you to start this thing and I want you to start this thing. They actually brought the people who were already streaming for Wounded Warrior like into the fold and got them to build their Discord for them, basically. And it kind of just grew from there. So it's an interesting example of how different orgs take approaches to charity streaming.
You kind of backtracked on what Guardians did, like, kind of does. Is there a reason why, like, because it does, like, because when we do our events, like, they act like they're in the Discord with us. It seems like they
Joe's excited.
Joe,
like...
they truly get happy for for people helping raise awareness of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it seemed like you kind of backtracked and like kind of like because is there a reason why, like, because to me, like, they are very active. They might not be big, but it seems like they are very active when people are raising money for them, so they can have the right information, know what they're raising money for, and whatever that goes with it.
Yeah, let me clarify. So with some organizations, they have physical things that they can show off to be like, this is what you raised money for. Whether it's like a water pump in Guatemala or a new part for a hospital, new hospital beds. When you work in a mental health organization, you don't have those kind of physical examples to show off. Instead, what you have are the verbal testimonials from people who they've worked with. And I think, in a way, that's equally, if not more so, powerful. It's just different.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to just parade people around like a token. Instead, you want people to be able to speak authentically about their experience, and that's what really makes the organization shine, is when people talk about what they did with whatever program or system that nonprofit was providing them. But yeah, so sorry, it wasn't meant to be like an apples to apples comparison. It was to highlight that there's different ways for organizations to express the impact of their work.
Yeah, and I think it's great to point out that for charities out there, it doesn't matter their size. If people believe in what they're trying to do, it doesn't matter if they're a one employee charity or St. Jude, which must have thousands of employees. And I know that St. Jude rakes in a lot of money every year, which they should, because their one goal, I think, is eradicating childhood cancer. So there's not many charities out there that would have a stronger position than that. But any size charity, as long as they've got gamers interested in raising money for them, they should certainly be looking in this space, and talking with folks like KKR to try to figure out how to best approach it. Because definitely, and I would imagine at any charity, if they don't have someone on staff who is a gamer or watches a lot of Twitch, then they probably have no idea that this kind of thing even goes on. I mean, even myself, around the time that I started Good for Gaming, I didn't watch Twitch. You know, when I started the Twitter account, I listened to some gaming podcasts, and it seemed foreign to me. Like I as an older gamer, I don't find much time to game. So when I do, why would I want to watch someone else play a game when I could be gaming myself? But then I started watching, and got addicted to the personalities that I found that were in the charity and positivity spaces. People like Rufio. That anytime he was on, I wanted to stop by and see what was going on.
Yep. He's definitely a
He's that type of person.
Contagious. There we go.
Yeah.
But you make a good point about staffing. So, St. Jude, last I spoke to them years ago, they had at least 13 people just on their, streaming fundraising program. A lot of orgs rely on the 1-2 people who know something about gaming and maybe an intern, and they expect them to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a lot to ask for 2 to 3 people.
Yeah.
So I think St. Jude's, they understood the investment that they had to make, and so they brought in people to run their program. So that's something that I think is a big takeaway for a lot of folks in nonprofit. You don't have to spend a lot at first, but if you want to scale, you have to be able to get staffing for it.
You have to put effort into it.
Yeah.
I had a thought, but I forgot it. Oh no, because I was going to kind of go back to kind of what Worldly said. We did kind of jump over to Guardian's mental health this year after, due to Rad not responding a lot, when we did have questions or we were looking for information. But with even going back to the event with them, like that we did for them last year, like Joe sent everybody that was streaming or that was interested in streaming, they sent us boxes of what they do. And so like for the money that we rose, I think each box is like $10 or something like that. So like raising over $1,000, that money was able to produce over 100 boxes for them.
Yeah, because he made a comment. He's like, "I'm gonna cry."
Like, because I mean that's just being like, for us being able to do that definitely helped with their numbers for this year. And I'm kind of glad that we did make that change, because I feel Guardians is one of those organizations that Good for Gaming has kind of has that repertoire with now, kind of like with Able Gamers, where it could almost be like one of the organizations that we just raise money for every year. Which I know
that's not the goal, but that's
not the goal, but the more
get those reports, and it's like you just want to let's keep it up.
And it seems like the more organizations we raise money for, the more that we've raised for over the years, we've come to realize there are organizations that are better at doing something. And that's it just when somebody does something like that, it makes you want to work with them because they are excited. And I'm not saying organizations aren't happy for the money that we raise, but when you physically get them in your chat, like they're there thanking you while we're raising the money. But they're all streamers themselves. I mean, their organization started because of Destiny. So I think that's why they're a little more involved. I guess I'm not like like when I raise money for organizations through Tiltify, like I'll get a letter from them thanking me for raising money, but I don't know who if Dave gets that or not. Like it's or whatever. Like because I like not everybody does that. Because that's actually how the guy from Give Kids the World also reached out to me because he said that he saw that I created the fundraiser on Tiltify. And my Discord is connected to Tiltify. So he contacted me that way as well. Because I told him, yeah, I talked to one of your fundraiser guys at an event that I was just at like a couple weeks before, and mentioned that I needed to talk to him anyway. But
Yes. Agree, Grizz.
And I would say, Guardians, there's something that we always kind of lean towards, which is if a charity has a basis in gaming, that kind of gives them a foot up on us considering them. Obviously, Guardians started as a couple people in the Destiny community, just trying to reach out to people they could tell were playing the game but were struggling mental health wise, and the whole charity grew out of that. So I really liked like Gamers Outreach this year because they started out as a group that was just trying to do a high school tournament, and just like the whole reason I started the G4G Twitter account, someone sent a letter to the school board. They were gonna host the tournament in a high school, and someone sent in a letter saying, I don't think it's appropriate that because they'll be playing violent games, and the tournament got canceled. So the kid who ended up starting Gamers Outreach decided to run it, off site, but then decided that he wanted the proceeds from it to go to a charity so he could show those people who thought that gaming was just a bad thing, that there's something positive that could come out of the tournament. And that's how Gamers Outreach gets started. So we always definitely like to hear that, because we're all gamers, and everybody in the community is a gamer, and that's what brought us all together. So we like to see those stories in the charities we work with.
And to be completely honest, Gamers Outreach to me is one of those organizations that I would like to raise money for again, because I tell this story to everybody, and it's funny because, and I'm sure Fantasy's heard this multiple times,
all the time,
that I broke my leg when I was 4 years old at the beginning of this. No, 5. At the beginning of December. And so I spent a month in the hospital with a pin through my femur. They actually had a cart, like a TV and a Nintendo, like the old NES, and it would go from room to room. And I would always get mad when I would see it go past my room to another room because I wanted to play. But that Christmas, because I spent Christmas in the hospital, my dad's work bought me the NES for Christmas. So I always tell people that my gaming addiction, the reason why I game to this day, is because of my dad's job at the time. But yeah, like just the whole cart aspect and them making it accessible to kids that can't really do anything else.
Yeah, because I know Kai said that they wish they had that kind of thing when they were in the hospital as a kid. Like, because when they took over for me, I was going through the website and.
Kai mentioned where he wanted to do something like almost D&D related. Being able to go into hospitals and teach and play D&D with kids. Mm-hmm. And I even told him like honestly, like I want to talk to him about that idea. Like
Gamers Outreach does have, that's one of their foundational items is called Player 2, So they will, any gamer that wants to volunteer at one of the hospitals they've got equipment at, they'll help to facilitate them talking to whoever the local coordinator is at the hospital, bring them in. They can play games with the kids that want to play that don't have somebody else to game with them. And they can work on the actual carts that are there, maintaining them, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's certainly, I'm sure, something they would be interested in as well.
Because I was willing to look into how to do a 501c3 and start something, like get it, because there's enough of us in different areas that play D&D that would love to do something like that. But if we can already work with an organization that already has resources that we might be able to do that with, I think would help us not have to, use a lot of our resources to do something like that. But yeah, I know, I guess it's going on kind of about 10 o'clock now. Yes, there is a volunteer application, but it's more seeing if there is a hospital nearby that uses the Gamers Outreach carts.
Yeah, and I didn't look at the details, so I'm not sure if it's limited to where they have carts or if they're doing it with any of the hospitals that they work with.
Okay.
I also like them because they're not just U.S. A lot of times, the charities we run into are just U.S. based, and a lot of that is we work with smaller charities, so they don't have the budget to ship things overseas, stuff like that. But Gamers Outreach has actually sent carts to hospitals over in Europe, hospitals in Canada, in the U.S., and in Mexico. So it's nice to see that they're not just working in the one area.
Yeah. I know we are I know it's about 10 o'clock, and with not having because AZ I know can talk, and there was stuff that he kind of wanted to go over, and since he's not here, I kind of focused it more on G4G, which wasn't going to be like the main focus, and kind of KKR. So I kind of focused it more on you two, since I did ask you last minute, and you guys were very nice to join in, and like we had some personnel changes on our end as well. I had a question. I want to kind of real quick go back to Dave with the year kind of coming to the end. And we have we are working with Gamers Outreach. I know we've kind of talked a little behind the scenes, but is there anything that you are able to maybe tell the community of what some of our plans might be for next year, or like kind of like where we might be heading into 2024? I mean, if there's nothing that you really want to like kind of put out yet, because you're still kind of gathering your thoughts, that's perfectly fine.
So far we don't have anything planned. I want to talk with folks because I have been myself experiencing some amount of burnout, which is, I'm sure, something KKR probably reports to the clients of his, is that if you, like, say I've been doing Extra Life for 10 years, I'm still happy to raise money for them, but there's a billion other charities that I might want to work with. My mother died from Alzheimer's. I've never done anything for the Alzheimer's charity. So I think we all have personal things. We've seen a lot of decline. I think part of it can be directly attributed to
accident. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, hello.
It was an accident. I didn't mean to come in. I'm sorry, Robo. Have
So
fun.
Okay.
So like with Twitter, we just see declining numbers, event over event, as far as who's even seeing that we have an event going. If you're not a paying member on
Yeah.
Twitter now, you kind of get pushed down in the algorithm. So social media, we feel like we've been kind of taking a beating in lately. So yeah, I wanna chat with the folks who are most involved in our community and see what that means for us for next year. So nothing set in stone yet. I did try to take a look at Tiltify while we were talking. We've had 26 campaigns. Oh, they do actually give years. So I see 2018, 2019. I'm not sure if their history would go back as far as we went. The earliest date I see in here is 2019. I'm pretty sure we did events before 2019, but so we've had 26 campaigns over the time. So we've raised money for Gamers Outreach, Guardians, Rise Above the Disorder, Trevor Project, Able Gamers, the ASPCA, One Up on Cancer, To Write Love on Her Arms, Pause Your Game, Trevor Project, I don't know if I mentioned that already, Southern Center for Human Rights, Shellback Tech, who's no longer a charity, Color of Change, Checkpoint, which is mental health, and then the rest are all repeats. Able Gamers is probably the one we have done the most campaigns for. But I have my favorites. Able Gamers is definitely one of them. Stack Up was another one that I work closely with. I've done some in years past at like PAX. I would help with their booth where I could. With Extra Life, I did help Checkpoints one year working their booth, just to try to help during PAX because I'm local to Boston, so PAX East is pretty easy for me to get to. And we're at a pretty nice round number between the team campaigns we did and one which I think was maybe as a solo campaign because at the time we didn't know how to work Tiltify. So we've got just over 50,000 raised over all those events.
And that's just Tiltify. Like I know like Good for Gaming has raised as a team with Extra Life. I mean, gosh, we're probably looking about $200,000 or close to it.
I know we added it up at one point, but I'm not gonna remember where.
Yeah, I'd have to go find that because I know we've marked it, we've posted it in the Discord somewhere. But like I know like we have maybe not that much money, but like our number is definitely it's up there. It's a good number. But I mean, like you said, a lot of people are getting. I think at this point, it's the burnout, and having more and more people out there doing it as well. I think kind of dampers it a little bit.
But I would want to say for anybody watching who's considering raising money for a charity, the last thing you want to do is focus on the total you raise. Even if you raise $0, if you're talking about the charity actively and people learn about it, that's invaluable to a smaller charity that maybe doesn't get a lot of recognition online or in social media. So just do it to have fun because it is fun, and if you have enough of a community, you will see donations. But as we learn, and like Cubby had said earlier, there's a lot of factors affecting, as especially the last couple of years between COVID and problems with inflation. If people don't have expendable income, then one of the first things going to happen is they're not going to donate when they maybe would have donated before. So
Yeah.
You have to take the ups and downs, but as a charity streamer, the last thing you want to do is be fixated on a number. You want to focus on the good you're doing, talking up the charity to others.
Because every dollar, I mean, and that was my issue for a long time. Like, I always would see people raising all this money. And there's Real Deal Di he's actually one of our top Extra Life members that has raised a lot of money the last few years within his community.
He owns the team trophy right now.
There he is in chat.
Yeah,
I got to get it off him for next year. Once this year finishes, we'll see whose name goes on it.
If we look at the list, it looks like it's going to be Alpha Trion. Because I think it's a 2-year trophy hold, right?
Yeah, our DDP has won it the last 2 years, so we cap it at your name on it 2 years, and then we move on. So yeah, I think it was like Alpha and Chai was up there.
Alpha's right there. Chai's like a couple, not less than 300 behind Alpha, and then I can't remember what his name is, because he puts his actual name on here. I don't want to say it. He was a part of our community for a while, and then left. Twisted Tri Studio, that's his name.
There we go. Yeah.
That's what his new name is now. Wired Junkie. He's right behind, not far behind Chai. But then we also have Sharkums, who usually does real well year in and year out.
That's a long time. Streaming.
So, but like I was lucky enough, like surprisingly, like over the 7 years that I've raised money, I'm over $10,000, and like I never would have thought that. I started to say, like, I was real bad at watching other people's numbers, and it really affected my mental health for a long time, which is one reason why I kind of stopped streaming for as long as I did. And then I got, like, once I kind of started working for United Way this past spring, realizing what I do there and seeing the impact that every dollar counts, no matter what it is and who it's for, benefits everybody. So that's why, really one reason why I kind of started streaming a little more often. And I kind of got away from the mainstream of what a lot of people kind of raise money for. Because I want to do it for myself and for the organization that I believe I want to raise the money for. And I know we all raise money for different reasons. Like everybody did Extra Life or a lot of people rose money for Extra Life because the hospitals that they rose money for affected their lives in some way, or they were patients of that hospital at some point. Like both of my kids actually are patients at the hospital that we rose money for. That's where their doctors are, and like if anything ever happened to them, that's where they would go. So
and those doctors are amazing.
Yes,
they really are.
Yes, sadly our hospital has been in, like, I don't know if you guys have heard about this up in the Northeast, but like our hospital has been in the news a lot lately.
Yeah.
Because of a situation that happened a few years ago, with a patient that they had, and like it was a very big settlement payout. Like it was a very sad, like, on both ends, like I know, like the payout that the amount of money that they have to pay out, but the whole situation that happened and everything else, and but things happen. I mean, but that's why we do what we do, is we try to help the departments that need money. So, and the connection with the hospital, yes, and the connection, and I'll cut this KKR can talk about this, or even Dave if you want, but my big thing with that is, depending on who your rep is how much of a connection you get. I might get the only time I ever hear from my rep is around games day. Most of their talk is with our local guild, who, to me, we kind of stepped away from, or I got away from rather quickly. Like, I'll kind of talk with the guy and like, and whatever, but they they do their own events. They raise money by themselves, and like it's all about their them. They don't help the other members on the team like I think a true guild should.
That's what kind of hurt your rep with them, because it's like I don't have time to come to you and game, because that's what you do. Is they do like LAN parties all the like.
And even if we rose money at that LAN party, it would go into their account.
It'd
like,
it
would be to them and not us.
Yeah.
So, but yes, it is definitely guild engagement, and hospital rep engagement.
And the founder is a great guy.
Yeah, he's not a founder. It's the guild, the head of the guild.
Yeah, he's a great guy. It's just.
So
I mean, for me, I don't have a really strong connection with my guild, but I do have a great relationship with the hospital rep. I've had 3 or 4 over the course of the last 5 years, but 2 of them, like, we would connect, fairly regularly. If I needed help getting in-kind donation applications out, she'd always help out with figuring out how to do the receipts and whatnot. So, yeah, definitely having a great connection with the hospital rep, super key.
yeah. I'm kind of find out what $1 donation can cover. A little bit can go a long way. Extra Life, it has the example that $1 can get 2 preemie sized diapers. Yes.
Yeah, I would kind of push that when I could remember, like a buck can get these kids a lot, like, or even like $2 to $5 can get something like.
And that's kind of, I think I'm pushing, is I know it's a small local organization, but I'm pushing my where me and the family, we take karate at a local dojo here, and they do a lot of work within the community centers. Like they teach classes in a lot of centers around St. Petersburg, and so they're low income families. So I'm pushing them to set up a Tiltify, where I can help raise money for them through gaming as well. Like, I know it's small, and it probably wouldn't be a lot, but I mean, anything for like something that I can personally talk about and who it affects, and
the fact that we participate in their programs
within their, we actually take classes with the teachers and know a lot of the students and who this money actually affects, to the point where I actually we're going through our United Way our internal campaign for my office, and I actually changed my donation to that organization, so because it would help. Every dollar helps any organization, no matter who you're raising money for. So
yeah, because that's $1 they didn't have in the first place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything else that anybody might have thought while we were talking that you might want to bring up or ask?
Yeah,
or
sure. This is for RoboPig. I know you mentioned you don't really have clear plans for next year, and we talked about burnout. So my question is there anything that you really wanted Good for Gaming to do or be a part of, or become, that hasn't happened yet that you wish could?
Just in general, I guess bigger numbers for the events, to see more people active in chat. I know we have lurkers and we appreciate lurkers, but as you watch the events roll on through the year, if you see the same 5 to 7 people, you feel like there's no growth there, and I don't know how much to attribute to just the content that we put out versus the struggles with social media these days, the general climate, like we said about whether people are able to donate or not donate, but just general involvement. And we see that at least for ourselves, just speaking from what I know, which is good for gaming. We see that across our community, the Twitch channel. Everything is just muted and less involved. And something I've always wanted to see that I don't see, and I know it's really hard to run a community, but I love to focus on what everyone is working on, not so much just what Good for Gaming is doing. So like KKR, when you reached out and asked if it was okay to post, I wish everyone in our community were comfortable to just do that, and they don't even have to ask me. If you're doing something with your heart in the right place, then I don't care if you post in our Discord, and it's not an insult to me if you want to try to get help from us or from our community for something that you're trying to accomplish. So for people to just be comfortable in our community, to be confident and talk about whatever, because whatever charity is important to you, you're going to be much more passionate about, and you're going to care a lot more about. We all have, like I said, my mom had Alzheimer's. We lost a lot of folks with, due to cancer. So cancer charities have always been a big thing for me. But just to see, because sometimes someone in our community will have an event and they don't even post on the Discord, and I'm like, just because it's not a Good for Gaming event doesn't mean that you can't promote it on and that's part of what I try to do with the G4G Twitter, and what Fantasy helps me out with, because she's our social media manager, is just amplifying anybody who's out there trying to do a charity event. And you won't see us repost anything from Ninja or any of the big streamers, because they don't need it. But if I follow somebody and he has a couple hundred followers and he or she is doing a charity and they post it, if I happen to see it in Twitter, I'll just retweet it. And we don't have much. We have like 5K or 6K followers, so maybe a couple people see it and do something. So I just wish people were more comfortable sharing what they're passionate about, I guess.
So
I think that I see
that wasn't. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
KKR. Oh.
I was like, that wasn't the answer I expected, but I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it.
Or if, the other answer, if someone wants to donate $1 million to Gamers Outreach, have at it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't mean to talk over you, Fantasy. What were you gonna say?
No, because I've been trying to branch out to other socials. I think the only one that I don't have, I think the only one that we don't have is Threads, but everything else I've been trying to branch out more. I've seen a lot of traction on TikTok, but I can't get it. It's just getting that conversion over to actually get people to even just come in and say I think we're covering all besides Threads right now, and it's slow to start, but
and even the issue that Fantasy has seen with TikTok is we've posted videos and they will mute the video, they won't let it, because we're it seems like if you tag it in certain ways, they don't want the information getting out there. It's they're really picky on who actually can view certain things. And I've even known noticed that business wise, where I would make a do hashtag small business or whatever, and I would get no views on any of my stuff. But she'll sit there and complain I just uploaded this and it's already muted. So it's
I'll go through, there was one video I really went through.
It was for Guardians Mental Health
I went through their mental health kit. This is stuff that I tagged them to give them the credit, and then it's oh no, you can't use that.
So it's like
TikTok is saying I can't use it.
so it's very hard. Like social media, like Dave has said multiple times, has definitely gotten harder over really like the last year and a half. Like just in general with I don't want to get political, but with Musk purchasing Twitter and making the changes that he has, and even with Facebook, like a lot, like it's unless you spend money, you don't get seen.
Yeah.
Like fantasy like needs to literally go to our coffee page to see what I post,
I see nothing unless I go into it.
and she's an admin of the page. Like it's
the algorithms just aren't helpful at this point, at least for people like us who are just trying to raise awareness and funding for a charity that's pretty low on any of these corporations' agendas, I guess, at this point.
and it seems like if you're not using their source, so like if you're not using Facebook's like fundraising page, and like you talk about
spending a lot of money to get your stuff seen.
Yeah, but like if you're not using their Facebook fundraising and you talk about using Tiltify or something, you're not. They slide it under the rug. Like you don't get anything. Because I can check, like my Facebook's set up where I can check my analytics, and those posts get nothing. Like nobody sees those posts because they don't like you posting about other areas, other things. That's not what because I mean, Facebook because PayPal is kind of the same way with their fundraising, where they get a small kickback or a fee of the donation. And when they're not making money off of that, it's all money nowadays, and it's not how charity work is supposed to be.
No, it's not about money. It's for them it is, but for us it's like, no, I just want this seen.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, yes, it's nice that we do raise money, but we just want it seen. We want it out there. We want, yeah.
DDP was saying
DDP.
Even Facebook fundraisers now aren't even visible on the mobile app unless you search for it. So
yeah, more than ever, that's when you need like the nonprofits to help with the social media, because it's in their best interest too.
Right.
So, but again, I'll bring it up just real quick. If anybody else has questions or comments or anything that they might have thought about talking about or anything, you can bring it up. I do kind of want to. I do look forward to what we do as a community next year. Let it be that, like, whatever happens. I mean, because I know, like, from what Dave was saying, like, there might be some changes we don't know yet. But a lot of the people that are around and active, I guess, I think are going to stick around. I would love to get more activity on the Discord. And I know that's what a lot of us would love to get. So if you are in chat and you are not in the Discord, please actually
get in there.
Get in the Discord.
Let's go.
And don't feel like you can't just jump. Like it might seem like we're quiet or we're talking about anything. Just jump in, start talking. We're a very open-minded group, like I should say open-minded, a very welcoming group. We wouldn't be where we're at if we didn't want to be there and talk.
We do.
A lot of us have our own like personal issues that we've become friends with a lot of people and have gone and have had really some serious talks with each other, like with other members of our community. I've become friends with a lot of the people. Let me reword this. I feel like the people that I interact with in the G4G community are more my friends than some of the people that I knew growing up. Like, I see Dave DDP, Worldly. I know KKR is not around the Discord as much anymore, but I find.
I'm here.
Oh, I know, but you know what I mean.
An example of
I'm
like,
just you're not you may not physically be around as much as you want to be because you are busy,
but you're still here.
But you're still around. Like you answered, like you responded to my Discord message. Grizz, I mean, you know, yes, you too, Grizz. But no, I feel like you guys are you're more of a family to me than. Or friends and family to me than my actual friends and family. It's one of those things where like I feel like because I don't like to be honest with you, I live in an area where it's my mom, like, and I like even there's times where I don't see her all the time, so I feel like I talk to you like the Discord and people in the Discord more than I talk to my own family and friends. From, like I said, growing up. So like and I'm sure a lot of other people within the community feel the same way. We've gotten close. Like we talk. If you're not a part, if you are listening and you aren't a part of the Discord, join. I mean, even if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I would like that. I think, yeah, just say hi and. Start a conversation. Even if we're in the middle of a conversation, start a conversation.
It happens all the time.
And don't feel upset if it happened to get overlooked or something. I mean, I go back through conversations and respond to 3 or 4 different conversations at the same, like back to back to back. And try to keep.
When I'm at work and I go back through, I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, I want to say something to this. And then
sometimes we'll
brings it back up.
Some days it's busier than others, and there's 2 or 3 conversations going on, and yeah,
keeping it straight's fun.
It's got me thinking. One thing I'd like to see, and if we want to freshen up some things with Good for Gaming, what I'd love to do is I kind of did something similar in the past where I was at a conference to talk about charity streaming, and I remember I'd asked AZ, RoboPig, and Cubby here if any of y'all wanted to be a co-speaker at this conference, but it ended up being Rufio, and even though he didn't make it, he had like technical difficulties at the wrong time. A lot of people were interested to hear what he had to say, like afterwards. And I think I'd like to extend that offer to anyone in Good for Gaming. If I go to a conference to speak about charity streaming, and if it's in your area, I'd love to have you, attend and talk about your experience as a charity streamer, because I think that's valuable for people in nonprofits who still don't really know anything about Twitch, to get a perspective from a charity streamer themselves. Because I come in with 15 years of nonprofit experience on top of the streaming, but I think for folks who want to know like what a charity streamer with no fundraising like professional experience has to share about what they've learned over the course of time, I think that'd be great. I think that's an interesting opportunity as well to talk about not just yourselves as your own branded channel, but also about Good for Gaming as a community, bringing that to new audiences too. And hopefully maybe potential charities to work with in the future.
Yeah. Now, I guess to kind of branch off of that, if there is something that does come up where you are going to a conference in an area, or you're looking for somebody to kind of be like a co-speaker, let us know. Because I think I had interest in doing that, but I think because I was still a little unsure, or like maybe it was just the point in time of what I was going through with my own streaming. I didn't do it, because I do remember that conversation. And I think I even recommended talking to Rufio to do that.
Yep.
Yes, that was a cat, DDP.
Yes.
She's constantly jumping in front of me and wanting the attention.
Only when he's there.
So, but yeah, because I felt he like that was the perfect thing for him, because at that time, because I didn't feel comfortable to do that when that came up, but getting to where I am now, I think I would feel more comfortable talking about my experiences a little better than I could at that point, because like I said, I did focus a lot on the numbers and the mindset of what am I doing wrong, and like I'm trying to fix what I'm doing, like, and the mental state that you get into, and just making the changes that I've made personally to not worry about any of that and whatnot. So I mean, I would have interest in that it being digital, or maybe hope would be cool to have something down here in Orlando or Miami and meet up. Because to be honest with you, I would love to meet up with KKR. I think he's an awesome person.
Likewise, I love meeting up with everyone, and I think that's one of the things I loved about going to the convention, not just TwitchCon, but just any opportunity I can to meet with folks in person. But yeah, no, because here's the thing: we talked about that event that I spoke at. That was 4 years ago. A lot has changed, not just for yourself, but for us and
gaming in general.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot, you can talk about.
So, but yeah, if anything like that comes up, bring it up to Dave, or I guess or even myself. Because we could.
It just depends on where it's at, because we've got people different areas. I'm in the Northeast. RDDP in Chad is also right up here. He's local to me.
He's a fun guy too.
You guys are down in Florida. We've got
Worldies
different places.
Worldies out
in
west.
California.
AZ's out west. I mean, you got a lot of people up there in the Northeast. Surprisingly, which is just weird. It seems like a lot of our active people are up that way.
Yeah, I know. I sent one of my coworkers to meet with RoboPig at a PAX East like 3 years ago or so, but they didn't know what to do. I was like, "Yeah, go talk to him. He's the head of our charity streaming community," and they were like, "I didn't know what to say, so I didn't really say much." I'm like, "Ah."
I mean, I get that. Especially, it's like you talk to people online, but then when you actually talk to them, you're like, I nope. I get it.
Yeah, I'm a total different person when it comes to like actually like talking to people in person.
I'll text you all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was at TwitchCon and I met some friends that I met on Twitch, and except like there was a group of 4. I met 3 of them, and I was like, "Where's the other guy?" And they were like, "Oh, he's in his hotel room." I'm like, "Doing what? You're at TwitchCon." I was like, he just didn't really feel like hanging out. So I was like, I get it. So people just, the in-person interaction can be a little overwhelming to some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like even here, we'll go out for a little bit, and then I come home like, all right, social battery's gone, so I'm gonna lay down for a little bit. And I didn't even talk to anybody, but I people.
Oh, worldly. She'll respond to that next week.
And I think it's also because I've interacted with you a lot online as well, Real Deal. And I think why it would make it easier for me to interact with people from within the community. Like, and I actually use this example with my supervisor today, that I call myself, like, I think it's like an introvert extrovert, where I'm okay talking with people that I interact on a at least on a normal basis. But if you put me into a room with so I interact real well within my department, like my direct supervisors, my managers. But when you put me in a one-on-one conversation or something with somebody else from another department, I am a completely different person. Like, I cannot start a conversation. Like, you got to talk to me first. Like, yeah. So
yeah, I'm similar. Like, I think I'm fairly extroverted.
Done.
But I don't do well in like situations where I don't know anybody. Like I don't go to like mixers because I just don't mix very well on my own. But if I know one person, like at a party or whatever, that's enough for
I'm
me
a
to be
magnet.
like,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, that's enough.
I'm yours. I'm yours. You got me.
But then I use that one person to bounce off of everywhere else.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly how I am.
Yeah, we go out and it's Cubby and I'm like, where'd he go? Because he left me. I go find him like, there.
My
Well-
camera went blurry all of a sudden.
It's been in and out.
But was there anything else anybody thought of or wants to talk about or ask or
Hmm.
man, that camera completely changed.
I know. I made it worse. What happened there?
You know, I don't think it was really mentioned on Discord today.
Where'd yours go? There you go.
Even yesterday, I hope he should still be in chat, but I do want to give a shout out to Grizz. Grizz is the behind the scenes when it comes to any like to our events. He's the behind the scenes guy of getting all the slots filled and getting all that put together, and then like working with Dave and Fantasy and really anybody giving him help, like kind of supporting him and sending messages or getting the word out. But I do like he doesn't get enough credit. I know he did have Soda Bread for help for a little bit, but Soda kind of stepped back for personal reasons again. But he definitely deserves a big round of applause for all the work that he has done this year, getting these events set up and getting them off without a hitch. Like him and I believe RoboPig even helped a few times, stepping in and filling spots during our events where people either had technical issues or forgot to, like something came up. I know he ended up streaming a Saturday shift, I think, when I said I would stream or something, or Sunday, early Saturday afternoon. The slot was still open going in the week into the event. I mean, it true, like he said, it is definitely a team effort. But he's Dave is the backbone to our community. But the people that really kick off these events and do all the extra work so Dave doesn't have to.
Puppeteers.
It is. So it's a lot of work goes into these events, and people don't realize unless you're actually in the conversations and in the chats of how much work actually goes into trying to get these slots filled for our events and whatnot. And if you are in chat and like I said, not in the Discord, please join the Discord. Let us know what you're raising money for, who your charities are, when you're, like Dave said, let us know when your events are going on. Even if we can't physically support your event that you're doing, we'll retweet things. We'll come in and lurk so your numbers are higher and try to talk for a little bit.
I know we have a few people that it's like, this isn't something of you guys, but it's mine. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Whatever. If it's something that, as Dave touched on earlier, if it's something that you want to do it. Pop it in the self promo or even the charity, like
the general charity channel.
Yeah.
Self promo like the day of, but drop it in our general charity. Let us know what you're doing, who you want to raise money for. If we have
give a little info about the charity, then yeah.
Yeah, if somebody within our group knows somebody or has worked with them in the past, they might be able to help you. Especially if it's new, like charity streaming is new to you. Reach out to KKR. No.
No, actually, my my network in nonprofits, I probably know people at organizations that, if you want to raise money for them and you haven't gotten any contact, let me know. I might know somebody there.
Yeah. And even for me, like my numbers, like I deal with organizations that I didn't even would never even think of, with United Way. So and that's kind of one reason why I kind of want to branch out as well, because seeing all the different local organizations within my community, I never realized the amount of charities and what people raise money for and use money for, and like I said, I work in their finance department, so I see donations come in. I'm the one that sends out the designation payments, but just getting somebody's name out there, even if it is just a 12 or 24-hour stream, or heck, a 4-hour charity stream, getting that organization out to a small audience, even if it's just 5 or 6 people that might not have known about that organization to begin with, means a lot, not only to that organization, but to you. I mean, because you're the one doing it.
Someone might they might not say anything, but they might actually go look into it.
Yeah. As soon as KKR mentioned what was it, Bright Star or Starlight, I jumped on my computer and pulled it up because I'm like, I've never heard of them before. So but yeah. Lost my train of thought again, but it's okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Well, definitely was able to pull this out a lot longer than expected. I do. If nobody else has really anything that they concern. Grizz is gonna crash our chat down below and come start talking to us. The lack of my snipe. So what you need to do, Grizz, is go get the clips, get them to Fantasy, and she will get them all onto Twitter, onto socials for you.
I thought Grizz was going to complain about having to carry me in Fortnite, but at least he kept it just to himself.
What do you guys use for clip edits?
Twitch.
The new tool they got where you can orient it vertical and split.
I
thought that was pretty cool.
I haven't had a clip that I've needed to or do anything
Video
with.
does a lot of stuff. He's been putting a lot on socials.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I've
Medio and Ashes Fall. She does a lot too.
Remember that Fortnite game we had, Cubby, where you, me, Scouter, and Unbounded were playing? You had a couple of really good shots there that I clipped, but
they're on my TikTok, because I was streaming, so I did upload them to my TikTok, and
those were great.
It was one of the first times that I truly played with a group in a I think that was the first time I played Fortnite in a very long time, because watching Scouter, you and Unbounded, because you guys were constantly playing, so I went and installed it again, and I think that was the first time I played in a very long time, and I had a lot of fun. I just uninstalled it during the last season and haven't reinstalled it yet. But
so what I'm hearing is you got your clips, not Grizz's.
Well, those were off my personal channel, not the Good for Gaming channel.
Oh, okay.
These are probably stuff from the Good for Gaming streams.
Yeah. And you got your crown wins too. That was an awesome night. We got a lot of good wins then.
Yeah.
We should do it again.
Time.
Yeah.
It's having time to do it.
But
yeah, totally.
It looks like Jester kind of spaced on timing.
Yeah.
So he kind of.
So we're lucky to be home one night a week anymore.
Yeah, Tuesdays have become really the only night that we're truly home, and it's become our D and every other week's D&D.
Mm.
Hey, Smug.
Hey, Smug.
But yeah, unless anybody else has got questions, concerns, comments, or anything else that they would like to talk about, that's probably going to bring us to the end here. Like I said, I think some of the conversation that we had over the last 45 minutes definitely extended this a lot longer than I was thinking it was going to go, because I thought it seemed like it was kind of dying off kind of at the end around 10 o'clock.
Midwestern goodbyes.
So it wasn't even a Midwestern goodbye, because it hadn't even started. I think something came up and it continued the conversation, and it helped things progress longer. But so unless there's anything else anybody does wanna yeah, that's like, which nobody in chat. I don't have anything. KKR, RoboPig. Like I said, I know I sent you these messages, I think yesterday morning or Friday night or Friday or something like that, or I think it was yesterday. So thank you for doing this on such short notice. I did invite Mocha as well.
I wasn't sure.
He had he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to. And the reason I invited you three is because you guys are RoboPig, being the backbone and the founder of the Good for Gaming community. KKR with working with the company that he started and all his nonprofit work, and then Mocha Jones. He works for Tiltify now. Like, I know there probably wasn't gonna be a lot of stuff that he would have been able to like kind of talk like about behind the scenes, but a lot of what possibly goes on with like at Tiltify and just the aspect of charity fundraising and whatnot. So, but Mocha, he actually does. He'll show up in our management chat. He is a part of our G4G community group. So he'll kind of give input of things that are happening behind. Kind of gives us a little input of things kind of going on at Tiltify. Some changes that just come out. That we might not be aware of for
he was trying to troubleshoot the issues we were having, and
he was big with helping try to help troubleshoot the alert issue that we had during the last event.
Yep.
And literally came in like a week ago and told us that they got it fixed, or it was being fixed with Streamlabs.
So he's around, just quiet.
Yeah.
I wish he showed up. I have 2 clients that are on Tiltify, and I have questions. So you should be able to send him a message where you might be able to get in touch, like, and just kind of get with him behind the scenes on Discord.
Discord, yeah, he's he's in the Good for Gaming community, like, so you should just be able to send him a message due to that connection. So
the Tiltify Discord is usually pretty good for getting feedback if you've got questions as well. They're pretty active.
All right, I'll take a look there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we never saw a resolution. If anybody out there is using Streamlabs and Tiltify campaigns, if you happen to be running a team campaign, they are not supporting that anymore. So our alerts through Streamlabs are not going to work anymore, which is funny because it worked for the last 4 or 5 years with no issues, and now they're saying that they only support the solo campaigns.
Very much so, Grizz.
That sucks. So so what was our workaround on that then? Because when we were getting like when
We're using Tiltify's functionality,
Okay.
so their setup will allow you to do alerts. It's just that on Streamlabs we could add our own graphics and sounds, and
Right.
on Tiltify it's just some canned ones that you can pick
Yeah.
from. So it's a little more limited and
Okay.
less, I guess, branding or marketing you could do through that. But if that's what we
It
have,
works.
that's what we'll use
Yeah.
for now. I can check out. I'm sure Stream Elements probably has a similar setup, and maybe theirs still works with Tiltify. I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at Stream Elements, but
Yeah.
it's possible.
I believe they have the integration on there. Yeah.
And I was kind of curious if maybe it wasn't part of. I noticed when you click on the integrations in Streamlabs now, before you get to do anything, it pops up a prompt saying, "Hey, you should be using our built-in chart." Like they're trying to steal money raising. I don't know if I don't know if what they make for a percent. I mean, most donor platforms have obviously make money. They take some percentage of the gross receipts, but I just noticed that now Streamlabs always prompts you that, hey, you should be using our in-house instead of before they bring you to like integrations with other donor platforms. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that's
they're
even like even with Twitch, like they have their own thing
yeah,
now.
they've
So
always pushed theirs as well. Yeah. We always use Tiltify just because of ease of use and the number, just the sheer number of charities that were there. And I think the couple times we looked, it seemed like they took the least amount out of a lot of the big donor platforms. So, but ultimately, I'd say for anybody who's looking to raise for a charity, just find out where they are. Donor Drive and Tiltify are kind of the two biggest, I think, in the market space. But you just want what you want in a donor platform is the guarantee that that money goes directly to the charity. Because if you start a PayPal for a charity, nobody's gonna want to donate to your bank account, hoping that it will get to the charity.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Right.
because a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people say they're raising money for things and they just keep the money. Like
Yep, it does
it's-
happen.
yeah.
So it's hard to trust where you're like, I just paid for somebody's bill. Nope, not doing that again.
Yeah. I don't think we haven't fallen for that.
No, no.
But it happens more often than not. But I think with all these companies giving a platform where, like Tiltify, Twitch charity, PayPal, well they go through they partnered with PayPal Giving Fund, so I mean it kind of goes through PayPal for them. But like Donor Drive, like they give you that platform. So it kind of helps so you know where the money's going.
So can I comment as someone who's been on the receiving end of the data from PayPal charity? I mean, Twitch charity using PayPal Giving Fund. So I meet quarterly with a bunch of other nonprofits who work in charity streaming, and they have a lot of complaints about the Twitch charity because, unlike with Donor Drive or Tiltify, when someone signs up to create a campaign, they get notified, on Donor Drive or Tiltify. Not so with the Twitch charity platform. So at the end of the month, when they get a payment from PayPal Giving, they don't know if it came from Twitch because a lot of organizations, they have PayPal accounts all across the web. How are they supposed to know this came from a Twitch streamer or their event? And PayPal's data is very shallow because the whole thing with PayPal is it's very secure and very private. You're not going to get much information. So a lot of the data they get from PayPal is very hard to cultivate and market and use that for future fundraising. So again, it's great that they're getting money, and I think that's the end goal is a charity gets funding through PayPal charity. But unless they know it's from Twitch, then it doesn't really help with the whole community building aspect of it.
Yeah.
So if anyone from Twitch charity is listening,
Fix your stuff. I was gonna say something else, but
Fix yourself.
No, I was gonna use
I know.
another word.
I know. I said fix yourself.
Fix yo poop. Do it, you won't. Well, our channel is set for maturity, so I could say the one swear word for the whole stream.
it is. You're set to mature for this?
Our channel's set for mature all the time.
Oh,
It's
We're
always
just careful with what we stream. and
most
stuff.
of us are, yeah, we're careful for what
we
we
keep it
say.
family friendly.
I don't trust these people, KKR, to stay calm and carry on.
If you see what goes on
Yeah,
during some of
Grizz
my
especially. Jeez, you should have heard Grizz the other night playing Call of Duty.
so
Oof.
there was a charity I was working with. They never really got into, and they were very nervous about charity streaming. And so I was like, here's a bunch of, fairly wholesome streamers that they're safe for your brand. Go check them out. One of them, I guess, was having a bad day. So it was like the one stream where they're like 99% of the time they're super wholesome. They play Stardew Valley, nothing like you're killing people or whatever. And I was like, the one time for the 5-10 minutes the org chose to view this stream is when this one streamer went on like some tirade about something, and then they were like, yeah, no, this person's just not family friendly, blah blah blah. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like,
Yeah, I remember we raided into somebody and then found out the hard way that nope, we're not doing that again.
Oh,
yeah, I remember that it was after D&D one night, and
Yep.
we raided into them, and just the way that they talked, and I want to say they were actually a part of the community.
They were at one point,
and
but they were very risque, very
I don't remember who it was. I can't
I don't
remember
either.
who it
I
was.
stopped following them because I didn't like it.
As soon as I saw that, like, I'm like, I'm out.
Like, you don't need to talk about, like, I know it's late, but you're
Yeah.
raising money. You're a charity. You don't need to be talking like.
I mean,
No.
if you slip one here and there, or like, or whatever, it's one thing. But when it was literally like almost every other word out of their mouth.
Well, that and they
Like-
were rather dirty too. So
Yes.
yeah,
I'm like, goodbye,
great way to scare off folks. Yeah,
goodbye.
who aren't used to that from their community for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
Swear jar.
but I'll say it one more time. Any questions, comments, concerns,
Told you, Miss.
anything
Miss
that
Guy.
you thought of after we started this conversation?
None for me. I just want to thank you all for inviting me, and it was a great chat. So
Yeah.
I'd love to do this again at some point.
So I keep bringing this up in our management chat, and I think it part of it's on me for not continuing the pursue. I think I even mentioned it to Mocha when he said that he couldn't do it. That I really would like to start doing a monthly kind of podcast like this.
This shit in D&D too.
I can do it on an off week on a Tuesday night for D&D. We can find a weekend slot where we don't have like anybody on the stream team. I mean, there might be some changes come next year with changes within the community, so we might have more open. I don't know. But I've been wanting to do like a podcast, kind of like this, on the channel and talk with different people within the charity streaming community. It doesn't have to be like based around Extra Life. It can be anybody and everybody. If and kind of do something like this. It probably wouldn't last 2 hours.
It could.
It could if there was enough to talk about.
Right.
but I'd be happy like with when it comes to something like that. I'd be happy with a half hour to 45 minutes. Because that would be something that would be cool to actually maybe start using the YouTube page again. Like I said, I'm hoping there might be some change. There probably will be some changes coming next year. Which Dave said that he'll have. There's some talking that is going to be done. And we'll just see where we go. So, but that is something that I've been wanting to do, but partially it's on me where I don't think I've pursued actually doing it. I was hoping to find somebody that can kind of co-host with me, and it would have motivated me where I can like, okay, let's actually do this, but nobody kind of stepped up and said, yeah, like let's do it. Like I'll work with you type of thing. So
not forcing anybody to.
No, this isn't anything forced. I think it's just me setting like. I'm hoping, kind of on a personal front, for like I haven't really put this out, but I started taking some meds for ADHD purposes. Started this past weekend, so I'm hoping maybe it'll allow me to focus on the things that I want to do more, and actually sit down and do them. Type of thing. That's like my goal is more to try to get that focus with this medicine. So I'm hoping that might allow me to actually sit down and pursue doing what I've been wanting to do for so long. Worldly, I'm volunteering telling you that you're my co-host now.
Yeah,
because you said it.
Got it.
So, but no,
I think if you have like a theme or an idea ahead of time, you know, I'm sure people will be able to like step in and be like, oh yeah, this is something I could talk about.
Yeah.
It's like one thing I appreciated when you reached out to me was you told me what it was going to be about. So I was like, all right, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
You know?
It gave you an idea of what we were going to like kind of talk about, go over, and what could come up.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, like I don't need like a 10 bullet points. You gave me enough for me to work with.
Yeah. But we are kind of getting to that. It is 11 o'clock, so I think I'm going to cut it here.
Do you want to raid someone?
I was looking at who we had live. I know Newfie's on a whole bunch.
We've been doing him a lot.
I've been doing him a lot, but I'm gonna
there's Tomater who has just joined us for stuff
recently. Real quick before we do go into that raid, I do want to thank. I kind of started doing this briefly about 10 minutes ago. I do want to thank KKR and RoboPig for joining us tonight. Like I said, it was very last minute. Because I still wasn't. Really, I wasn't 100% sure of what we were doing as a D&D group until really like yesterday morning. And because we were talking about doing a one-shot tonight or what, and so that's why I kind of sent the seeing if you guys would join us last minute. I do appreciate you guys coming out and talking about like good for gaming and all that. So, but I will reach out to a few of you guys once I kind of get more of a basis of what the podcast and the discussions would be. But I do agree, Worldly, of doing the G4G streamers and the stream team and people on management and people that work with the Good for Gaming community. But I don't want it to just be Good for Gaming. I want it to, there's a lot of people out there that we've worked with and that are no longer a part of the community, but a lot of us are still friends with that are still charity streamers and do a lot within the community. So I want to get them involved and whatnot as well, because they're also a big reason of why we're here to like our communities where we're at too. But like I said, I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for everybody hanging out, being here. Especially the people that normally don't stop in on Tuesday nights for D&D. It was nice seeing some some other people within the chat tonight. So I wouldn't mind. I mean, we got a good group. I wouldn't mind going to Tomater. I know he is still new to the community. He's helped us in a few of our events recently.
He's just doing
I
a no
think
can thingy.
I think he just started recently.
Is he really Tomater? Let me look this up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's TOWM8R.
Ah, 8.
Chilling and vibing, no can.
So supposedly commentary by the grandchild. No, Tomater is actually, he's a part of
Isn't he
Guardians.
in too?
I think he's a part of the Guardians group.
I think so.
Oh.
So that's where I recognized him from.
He does play a lot of Destiny. I do remember
Yeah.
that. We played some Destiny with him one night.
Damn it, Cat! I can't see the chat.
Well, you can't
It's
see
only
the
when
chat.
it's only when he's at his computer that she's like, "Hi."
Well, I work at my kitchen table, and she'll literally sit on my laptop while I'm trying to work. And it's only the one cat. So,
Cloud is probably in the kid's bedroom.
But again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for joining us. Again, a huge shout out to both King Kong Wrong and RoboPig.
Seems like Q
He's
is
gonna
gonna set something up for while we were out of town.
Actually, I spelled it wrong. No wonder. I spelled it King wrong. That's why.
Nope, he's gonna change his name now. It's official. Sorry, KKR.
It's still
I should-
KKR.
I was gonna say it should still be KKR. One of these days, I'll rebrand to just KKR.
And shout out to RoboPig. I mean, you guys, everybody have a great night, and we will see you guys. No Tuesday night stream next week. We'll be back for D&D on the 5th. You guys have a great one.
All right.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Bye.
Gonna raid. I'm going to...
Grizz just said lies. I said I think